Thank you. By the end of my talk, through the magic of slam poetry, I will have this entire crowd fluent in German. So we have that to look forward to. My name is Michael Shaeffer, and I have been a slam poet for about 13 years. And what I enjoy about slam poetry, performance poetry, spoken word, is that it's accessible, it's short, it's often available for free, and it can often compel the audience or challenge the audience to make the world a better place. And like traditional page poetry, it can be interpreted in a variety of different ways. Let's start off today with Jack and the Beanstalk. Now, when you think about that fairy tale, I want you to try and envision what the hero of Jack and the Beanstalk looks like. How old is he? What kind of clothing does he wear? How tall is he? Now, when I think about large characters with a capacity, if you will, there's one guy that comes to my mind, and that's the villain from Jack and the Beanstalk, the giant. His story, his side of the story, has never been told until now. This is the ways and means with a fistful of beans, also known as the behemoth cometh. I dabble in horticulture, but I'm not the most diligent gardener, so it's no surprise that when I noticed a beanstalk eking its way through my cabbage patch one morning, I procrastinated. I told myself that I would weed it out tomorrow. Little did I know that this stalk of beans would be the ways and means for this Englishman, Jack, a novice thief. He stole one of my birds, my harp. Yes, I own a harp. The cops had a hard time believing that too. I guess I don't look like the harp-playing type. But Jack is supposed to be the hero if you believe the fairy tale hype. I was the robbery victim here, and Jack was some amateur, and he is portrayed as some poor kid whose intentions are good, whose heart is pure. Jack didn't even bother wiping his feet before his daring little B and E. Folks, I'm roughly 6'2", 6'3", but a fearsome giant? Come on! No matter what Hans Christian Andersen or the Brothers Grimm might have said, I say the public has been sorely misled. Sure, I'm a big guy, but I'm fairly even-tempered. Even when some teenage punk steals what's rightfully mine, I don't fly off the handle, I don't get out of line. Sure, I might have said some F words, but nothing as dumb as fee-fi-fo-fum. See, that just makes me sound silly and loud. And it must have been Jack's first time on my cloud because he certainly hadn't cased the joint. I made off with some goods, but my point is he left a lot of stuff behind. Well, not that I mind. I mean, he made off with the goose that lays the golden eggs, but he overlooked my diamond-encrusted cribbage pegs. And while a golden egg-laying goose is pretty unique, I've also got a trained toucan with a big old beak. Now, the toucan can't lay eggs, but here's the curious thing, though. He poops out casino chips from the Las Vegas Flamingo. Yeah, they match my vest. And if you want to mix in a magical fruit with all the rest, you can plant some beans in your backyard. You know, gardening really isn't that hard. You just give them some sunshine and some H2O. You'll be amazed at how amazingly tall they can grow. And if you don't mind an arduous climb, you should come up and see me sometime, because it's lonely at the top. Anyway, since my skyward home was burglarized, I've beefed up my security. I've gotten wise. For a few $100s, I've even elected to get my Volkswagen van Viper protected. My homeowner's insurance policy will even provide the next time that Englishman takes one step inside, I can grind his bones to make my bread and lend some truth to what those storytellers have said. When I catch Jack, he'll be buttered and baked. He'll become part of my daily carbohydrate intake. Steal from a giant? You really shouldn't try it, because I don't know one of us who likes the Atkins diet. Giants like pasta, beer, and bread. We're gentle creatures as long as we're fed, and as long as you humans abide by us, and I cannot stress this enough, keep your thieving little hands off of our stuff. Thank you. So, Jack and the Beanstalk was first published in 1807 by Benjamin Tabart, and since then we've been conditioned to root for Jack and to root against the giant as the bad guy. Slam poetry is all about being open to a wide variety of voices and viewpoints, especially if it's a viewpoint that challenges the status quo. Slam poetry has forced me to become a better writer, and since entering the slam poetry community, I've been blessed with meeting a whole fantastic batch of writers and performers. First order of business, this is not to scale. We know that Alaska is much, much larger than this. But in 2006, I was able to attend my first National Poetry Slam in Austin, Texas. And part of that week-long competition had a side event called the Slam Olympics. And poets were challenged to deliver a 1-minute poem during the 60-second round. Well, my team saw fit to send me to the stage in the hopes of bringing home the gold. Now, at the time, arguably, I was the least experienced poet on our team, but this was a chance for me to be the hero. So here for you good folks this afternoon is the poem that I performed in Austin, Texas at the National Poetry Slam some 11 years ago. Now, the title of the poem is actually longer than the poem itself. So here, a slice of National Poetry Slam history. This is clarification on the colostomy bag. That's not a piñata. So sometimes your creative team has this wide array of resources, and the solution is actually very simple. And I had competitors going to stage delivering 57, 58, 59-second poems, and when I went to the stage with a verse that was just 4 words long, the judges, by unanimous decision, gave me first place for that poem. And hearkening to today's theme of building capacity, creative-wise, you want to kind of push your limits and increase your capacity, but in regards to a colostomy bag, you want to always respect the capacity of a colostomy bag. Trust me on this one. So when I think of all the history and the mythos and legends and movies and heroes and superheroes, there's been one go-to that's always helped me with writing prompts, and that's been the Star Wars universe. Years ago, I was trying to woo a woman with poetry, and I didn't want to open with the colostomy bag poem, so I stuck a pin in that. I didn't really stick a pin in the you get my gist there. So this is a very personal love poem with the unlikely hero at the center being a young Luke Skywalker. This is Clowns and Jedi. I've got all these emotions for you, and each one is a chubby clown who's been forced to get into a small circus car. Shakes is riding shotgun and cussing a blue streak because that freak Clarabelle is at the wheel. These rosy-nosed gestures represent frustration and impatience, respectively. And Ronald McDonald, he represents thirst and hunger and greed, all wrapped up in a nice bright red pair of size 15s. And my mischief is embodied by Sideshow Bob and Bozo. And amidst all these face-painted guys is a helium-huffing Pennywise. Well, he represents fear. And over here, Sean Spicer. Well, the best that I can figure, he's just a clown. And my emotions are all cramming into this miniaturized Yugo, whipping cookies around the center circus ring at 5 miles per hour, and the power steering has just conked out, and my sensibilities are these thin-skinned balloons pregnant with confetti and bursting apart, pop, pop, popping to the dashboard beat of Barracuda by heart, and I am not always scatterbrained like this, of course. It's amazing, like the Force, with the focus of Luke Skywalker doing one-armed handstands. And Luke was not showing off because he only had an audience of 2, a malfunctioning droid and a bossy Muppet. It's amazing because after all this, you doubt whether you float my boat? Girl, you have got me hovering like Skywalker's X-Wing 10 feet off the Dagobah swamp. I love you in all the ways that Han Solo was afraid to say. And I know that carbon freeze was way back in the day, but that was Empire and not Star Wars. And that was 1980 and not the late 70s. And these may seem like the tiniest of trifles, but they're not. In the way that Dick Sargent was still Darren, but he wasn't Dick York. In the way that the name Mindy is incomplete without Mork. And like a Halo 3 Needler beats a KFC Spork. Now switching gears for your ears into Latin, it seems so random, but this negates de gustibus nonis disputandum. How could you see this sequel and not be moved? I am the new and improved version of new and improved. Now that's how powerful Empire was for me. So when the Lucasfilm cronies yell cut, and the old Jedi Master relaxes his wrinkled green fist, and the dude inside of R2-D2 pops the top for a breath of fresh air, and Frank Oz takes his hand out of Yoda's butt, and he grabs an egg salad sandwich, and the X-Wing is still hovering in midair, that's not the Force keeping it there. Ask the true Star Wars geeks. They've already checked. That's not some advanced CGI or some green screen effect. That's love, baby. That's my chubbiest emotional circus clown. And he's not going to set the X-Wing down until you love me back. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So making the transition from the unlikely hero that was a young Luke Skywalker to one of the most overlooked and underrated superheroes from the spandex-wearing universe. A previously dormant Pacific Rim volcano recently erupted and took on challengers from any and all comers. Here are the results of that confrontation. In the battle between Hot Lava and William Shatner, the winner, Hot Lava. Hot Lava versus Mary Tyler Moore. Hot Lava, judge's decision. Hot Lava versus The Flash. The Flash just outran the pyroclastic flow, so once again, the winner was Hot Lava. Hot Lava versus Scarlett Johansson. Now granted, Scarlett Johansson is wicked hot, but most Hot Lava clocks in at 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Sorry, Scarlett, Hot Lava. Hot Lava versus Kevin Bacon. Hot Lava has 2,000 degrees. Kevin Bacon has 6. Hot Lava versus Chuck Norris. Hot Lava. It should be noted that Chuck's one and only roundhouse kick did slow the lava flow. Hot Lava versus Laughter Yoga. Don't make me laugh. Hot Lava. Hot Lava versus Donald Trump. Audience? Hot, you better believe it. Hot Lava. You cannot fire something that is already fired. Hot Lava versus Courtney Cox. Hot Lava versus both the good and the evil Spocks. Hot Lava. Hot Lava versus Aquaman. Aquaman. That's right, Aquaman. When Hot Lava met the cool and seemingly endless deluge that was the Pacific Ocean, the menacing magma massacre began to surrender and settle with a steamy gasp, forming our planet's newest landmass. Manipulating the tides like a grope for Luna, Aquaman didn't even break a sweat. And as he strutted off into the salty surf, cocksure swagger in his glistening green tights, Aquaman released this statement. Pinatubo is a punk. Krakatoa is a joke. Iceland's volcano, Eyjafjallajökull, forget about it. And the Submariner can kiss my butt. And with a bat of a lash and a cannonball splash, that underwater son of a gun was gone. Thank you. Incidentally, that last poem, Hot Lava, along with a handful of others, they are poems that are being translated from English into Spanish this month by students attending the University of Seville in Spain. So I'm curious to see. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Mucho gusto. So on the whole spectrum here, the extremes, volcanic activity has the capacity to be very destructive and kill 92,000 people, like the one in Tambora. On the other end, on the creative capacity of volcanic activity, it can make Maui. So in your lives, be a creative force, but don't be a Tambora. Be a Maui. All right? And your takeaway here, if you've ever disregarded poetry as a lesser form of literature, I give it another chance. Slam poetry, performance poetry, spoken word, it's often available for free online. You've got bookstores in your community that support the craft, and keep your eyes open for unlikely heroes. You just might be one of them. And I did promised this audience that I would have you fluent in German by the end of my talk. Do we still have time for that? Yes, sir. Okay, I'm being told that yes, we do. Yeah, okay, so here we go. Now, with the help of the audience, I hope to determine if there is anything poetic about the German language. So here's a bit from my Poetry Slam gigs. It's the story of the 3 little pigs in German. So help me out, crowd. How do most fairy tales begin? Once upon a time. Dankeschön. Eins auf einer Zeit. Da tut 3 kleiner Schweine. Der Schweinename Johann und Wolfgang und Fritz. In der Wald leben der große schwarze Wolf. Der Wolf wollen der Schwein zu essen. Ein Tag, der große schwarze Wolf gehen zum Johannshaus. Johannshaus macht auf Mus. Mus, ja? Der große schwarze Wolf sagt, kleines Schwein, komm mal mir hins. Und Johann sagt, oh, nicht bei der Haare auf mein Kinn. So der große schwarze Wolf sagt, dann ich schneuse und ich sprenge und ich mach dein Haus kaputt. Johann laufen zu ihrem Bruder Wolfgangs Haus. Na, Wolfgangs Haus macht auf Wald, Wald, ja? Der große schwarze Wolf sagt, kleines Schwein, komm mal mir hins. Und Johann und Wolfgang sagt, oh, nicht bei der Haare auf mein Kinn. So, der große schwarze Wolf sagt, dann ich schneuse und ich sprenge und ich mag dein Haus kaputt. Johann und Wolfgang laufen zu ihrem Bruder Fritzes Haus. Na, Fritzes Haus macht auf Ziegelstein. Ziegelstein, ja? Ziegelstein. Der große schwarze Wolf sagt, kleines Schwein, komm mal mir hins. Und Johann und Wolfgang und Fritz sagt, oh, nicht bei der Haare auf meinen großen Nussbaum. So, der große schwarze Wolf sagt, Achtung, dann ich schneuse und ich springe und ich mach dein Haus kaputt. Aber, der große schwarze Wolf schneuse und springe und schneuse und springe und schneuse und springe und schneuse und springe und schneuse und springe. Aber mag dein Haus nicht kaputt. Das Ende. Dankeschön.